The movie begins where we see former hitman John Wick abandon the criminal underworld to start a family with his wife Helen. Sadly, John loses his wife to a serious illness after 4 years of pleasure. Until he receives a crate from his wife holding Daisy, a beagle puppy that she planned for him to receive after she passed away, John finds it difficult to deal with her loss. Helen assures John that the puppy will help him concentrate his affection and keep his hope alive. As they spend the most of the day together, John develops a bond with the puppy. One day, Yosef Tarasov, a Russian criminal, approaches John at a petrol station and offers to buy his classic 1969 Ford Mustang Mach 1. When John declines, Yosef abuses him in Russian, to which John responds in the same language. Yosef is enraged by John's rejection and behavior and, a few days later, together with 2 of his goons, Grigory and Victor, bursts into John's home. John was badly beaten by the 3 men, who also knocked him out. They murder Daisy while stealing John's automobile. To have the VIN numbers replaced, Yosef brings the Mustang to a chop shop. When Aurelio, the shop's owner, spots the car, he tells Yosef and his crew to leave. The shop owner punches Yosef when he attempts to make fun of Aurelio and orders him to leave right now. Shortly after, John arrives at Aurelio's store. Aurelio tells John over a drink that the car was brought to him, but he declined to work on it. Additionally, he tells John that Yosef is the son of Vigo Tarasov, the leader of the Russian mafia organization in New York and a previous boss of John's. When the shop owner answers the phone from Vigo after learning of Aurelio's attack on his son, he tells the gangster that Yosef stole John Wick's automobile. Yosef is confronted by Vigo, who beats him for being stupid. He tells his son that John is a well-known assassin who was known as Baba Yaga, or the Boogeyman. Vigo informs Yosef that the mafia gave John an impossible goal to do that he believed would never be accomplished when John decided to retire and marry Helen. Vigo explains to his son that John not only accomplished the assignment effectively, but that the individuals John killed that day contributed to the success of Vigo's company as a whole. Vigo calls John in an effort to convince him not to pursue revenge in order to rescue his son, but John won't even speak with him. To assassinate John, Vigo sends a group of hitmen to his home. John, however, is prepared for intruders this time and murders the entire squad. To get rid of the dead and evidence, he employs Charlie, the proprietor of an illegal cleaning business. A $2 million contract for John's demise is also placed by Vigo, who then calls John's mentor Marcus to personally employ him for the assignment. Marcus concurs. In the meantime, John makes a reservation at the New York Continental Hotel, a seedy establishment that only hosts guests from the criminal underground and forbids any assassinations on the premises. Karen, the hotel's concierge, and Winston, the hotel manager, extend a hearty welcome to John. John is informed by Winston that Vigo has Yosef under surveillance at his nightclub, the Red Circle. He also cautions John from returning to the criminal underground because he is not likely to be given a second chance to leave. When Vigo finds out that John has checked into the Continental, he increases the reward for anyone prepared to violate the hotel's rules in order to kill him. After threatening Francis, a bouncer at the Red Circle Club, John enters the establishment. Francis decides not to confront John and instead takes the night off. Victor and Grigory are killed by John, who then finds Yosef at the club. Yosef can only make a safe getaway thanks to the quick action of Vigo's subordinate Kirill. John stays at the Continental to have the hotel doctor attend to his wounds. From across the street, Marcus is keeping a sniper rifle trained on John. Ms. Perkins, a different assassin, enters John's room undetected and kills him. Marcus shoots the pillow next to John on the bed to let him know she's there. Perkins is coerced by John into disclosing the location of Vigo's vault. John knocks Perkins out cold before leaving her to wait for the hotel's retribution with fellow assassin Harry. Shortly after John leaves, Perkins manages to free herself and murder Harry. John visits a chapel in Little Russia and defeats the security personnel tasked with guarding Vigo's assets and extortion documents. After setting the entire inventory on fire, John waits for Vigo and his men to show up. John ambushes Vigo and his men, but he is eventually subdued when Kirill runs him over with a car, rendering him unconscious, and captures him. John is made fun of by Vigo for believing he can leave his previous life behind and for taking everything personally because of a puppy. John reveals that Yosef stole Daisy, who was his last shred of hope in the world, from him. After giving the order to assassinate John, Vigo departs. Marcus steps in once more and kills John's executioner. When John is free, he kills Kirill by strangling him. When Vigo's automobile is being pursued by John, it crashes. Vigo tells John Yosef's whereabouts out of fear for his execution and decides to release him from the contract. Then, John goes to Yosef's hiding place and murders him along with his bodyguards. A few moments later, Perkins tells Vigo that Marcus is helping John. Marcus is abducted by Vigo. Marcus is beaten and tortured by the gangster before being killed there. To have Perkins surprise John at Marcus's house, Vigo calls John to inform him that Marcus has passed away. Perkins is, however, called to a meeting with Winston, who executes her for killing Harry on Continental property. Vigo intends to fly out of the city. Winston tells John over the phone. The majority of Vigo's remaining men, including Vigo's second-in-command Avi, are killed by John as he rushes to New York Harbor. Hand-to-hand combat breaks out between Vigo and John. When Vigo produces a knife, John allows himself to be stabbed in order to take possession of it. Then, John stabs Vigo mortally in the neck with the knife. When wounded John enters an animal hospital to receive medical attention, he spots a pit bull puppy. The boardwalk where John spent his last date with Helen is where the two walk home after John releases the dog.